We're seeing winter before we get the taste of spring this winter. Storm bringing snow to the valleys. How much is expected? I'll let you know.
A scary scene that unfolded out on a Utah highway ended here at a gas station in Kaysville. Tonight, I talked with workers who saw the aftermath of an alleged road rage shooting.
Sandy has a new sister city in Ukraine. The message that local leaders hope this sends.
It's 90s night at the Delta Center for the Utah Jazz, but 90s night means a little something different for some diehard fans. We'll tell you why coming up.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Evans. Our top story tonight is the weather. Spring starts later this week, but winter is not going quietly tonight. Here is a live look at Sardine Canyon, and you can see the water on the road as the cars are going by. I tell you what, depending on where you are, you may see rain or you may see snow, and there is a lot more on the way for the morning commute. UDOT released this map of where the trouble spots will be tonight and tomorrow. The Wasatch Front is in the red zone, meaning it's going to be a rough drive in the morning. They're urging people to actually delay their travel time until after 9 a.m. Let's get right over to Utah's Weather Authority meteorologist Breck Bolton. And Breck, what do you got behind you? That is crazy.
It is crazy right now. Box Elder County, we take a look at another UDOT traffic camera. This is northwest of Tremont, trying to maintain the feed coming in, but that camera getting shooken up because of the winds and the snow that is falling. Again, this is northwest of Tremont as this is on its way. Cold front moving through portions of northern Utah, and we've got some strong winds. Wind gusts upwards of 50 miles per hour over towards Wendover. Earlier on, we had some wind gusts near Tremont at about 45 miles per hour. We've got high wind warnings in effect now for extreme northwestern Utah. Still some strong winds across western Utah. So with that, again, recently released from the National Weather Service about 15 minutes ago, high wind warning will be in effect here for tonight through noon tomorrow. Again, we could potentially be looking at wind gusts 50, 60, even upwards of 65 miles per hour out of the northwest as that front is on the move. It's already been tracking through Logan over towards Wendover, and we're seeing the impact right now. Heavy showers as you move further northward. It's really Box Elder, Cache County that we're seeing the activity right now, but also spreading towards Tooele County, heading into Wendover. Again, initially coming through, it's heavy rain. Even some embedded thunderstorms. You can see that transition line as you move northwest along I-84, heading over towards Snowville. The snow is falling. We've been seeing it through eastern Nevada. This is what's tracking through here in the overnight hours. We start to see that transition here over the next hour or two here along the Wasatch Front. So the front moving through, and with that, we're seeing a drop in temperatures. Logan, you're in the upper 30s. Ogden through Salt Lake City, it's 50s as colder air pushing through, where you can already see temperatures dropping down into the 30s in Wendover. So cold front coming in, it's bringing the snow. But how much snow will we be waking up to come tomorrow morning? I'll let you know coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Breck, thanks so much. The Utah Avalanche Center says most of the state is in considerable avalanche danger right now, and there are some backcountry closures. Before enjoying a powder day or going into the backcountry, be sure to go to utahavalanchecenter.org or download their app for the latest conditions. Utah State Troopers are looking for someone who they say shot at another driver on I-15 in an apparent road rage incident last night in the southbound lanes of I-15 near Layton. Fox 13 News reporter Jeremy Toms has the details.
Cars came and went through this Kaysville Chevron by the dozen. Some people pumped gas, while others stopped for a snack.
Have a good one.
Sunday was a workday like any other for Assistant Manager Carson Vowles.
Didn't really think that would be coming here to Kaysville.
Until he was called back to the Top Stop convenience store late that night.
Saying that the cops were on their way because someone just got shot at on the freeway. It's definitely crazy. It makes you wonder what this world's coming to.
Lieutenant Cameron Roden with Utah Highway Patrol says the roadway shooting happened between a white Jeep Cherokee and a red Ford Fusion on I-15 South near Antelope Drive in Layton.
We don't quite understand everything that happened between those vehicles to start this whole thing.
But you can see the result. Multiple bullets ripped through the Jeep and flattened two tires.
It not only puts the parties involved in danger, but all the public around them as well.
The driver fortunately arrived at the Kaysville gas station uninjured.
The guy seemed pretty shaken up, I mean, understandably.
Well, you should be prepared for any drive you may take. Lieutenant Roden says once you're packed up and you're out on the roads, the plan should be not to take matters into your own hands.
We all make mistakes as we're driving too, and we can't retaliate on someone who's made a mistake.
He adds that if someone is driving really recklessly, you should call 911.
Let law enforcement handle those type of situations.
Or if you need to, stop in at a gas station like this one and cool down. Because just like everyone else who pulls into the pumps,
We're all just trying to make some money and enjoy life.
Val says the goal is simply to get to your destination safely.
It's definitely not worth losing your life for taking someone else's.
In Kaysville, Jeremy Toms, Fox 13 News, Utah.
And the investigation continues tonight. Officials say it's still unclear what led up to the shooting. Lieutenant Roden says the driver of the red Ford left the interstate in Layton. His whereabouts and identity remain unknown. Anyone with information should call the Davis County Sheriff's Office. Now to a Fox 13 News follow-up. Authorities are offering a $5,000 reward for tips leading to an arrest in an arson case that happened in Provo last month. On the morning of February 8th, 3 buildings at the Remington Commons construction site were destroyed in a massive fire. Cost $4.5 million in damage. Now authorities need your help. If you have any information that can help, call Provo Police or the ATF. Some Utahns are in the southern states right now as fire conditions get worse. There are 2 task forces from the Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands in Texas. Today, they helped on a 6,300-acre fire. The crew reported wind gusts of 60 to 70 miles an hour, creating erratic fire behavior, making this assignment challenging. And a 3rd task force from Utah was sent to Kansas to prevent wildfires there. They are in McPherson right now, which is facing red flag warnings. In national news, President Trump says he is immediately ending Secret Service protection for former President Biden's adult children. Just before he left the White House, former President Biden had Secret Service protection for his children extended to July, which is permitted. 18 agents were assigned to Hunter Biden in South Africa this week. Ashley Biden has 13 agents assigned to her. Former presidents and their wives receive lifelong Secret Service protection. Their family members do not. Speaking of President Trump, he will speak with Russian President Vladimir Putin tomorrow about efforts to end the war in Ukraine. Over the weekend, there were talks about dividing up certain assets, such as power plants and land, as both Russia and Ukraine work toward a ceasefire deal backed by the U.S. In the latest development of several in the last month, there was that dramatic meeting between Mr. Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in the Oval Office. You remember that. That confrontation led to a pause on U.S. intelligence sharing and military aid to Ukraine, until that led to Ukraine agreeing to a 30-day ceasefire. Tonight, Fox 13 News reporter Maithili Gubi went to Sandy, where there was a show of support for Ukraine.
I wonder how many of my neighbors, how many people in my community actually do care still about Ukraine.
Sandy City answered that.
Because it's really the people-to-people connection that brought us to this moment today.
Sandy now has a sister city in Ukraine, forging a new friendship with Bucha.
We really came to understand we are more alike than we are different, and to see the resilience and the courage of the Ukrainian people as they fight for their democracy, they fight for their freedom against such insurmountable odds. It really buoys us as Americans.
In 2022, when Ukrainian firefighters were competing in a contest in Sandy, locals took them in, and that set the stage for this sister city partnership. City Council approved the resolution in November, and it was signed with an official proclamation and a room full of people to celebrate on Monday.
We can totally work together and create something beautiful, even though we're so different.
For Anya Buse, whose family is in Ukraine, this show of solidarity is special.
When I hear from my neighbors, from my friends, that they support Ukraine, and then I see it on a city level, I mean, come on now. It's huge.
And regardless of what's happening in Washington, leaders here want to support those who need it.
Hope that our example here in Sandy spreads across Utah.
Sandy City already has sister city relationships with cities in Germany and Mexico, and by adding Bucha, Ukraine to that list, the goal is to help with recovery and relief efforts and help increase collaboration between the two cities. At Sandy City Hall, I am Maitli Gobi, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Coming up, help for the Great Salt Lake is coming from an unlikely source. How the Utah Royals are stepping up. And it's 90s night at the Delta Center as the Utah Jazz take on the Chicago Bulls. How Ryan Smith made it unforgettable for people who are in their 90s.
You're watching Fox 13 News, part of the Scripps News Group.
Oh boy, here comes northern Utah, Breck.
It's hitting. Yeah, this is northwest of Tremont along I-84, so this is in between Tremont and Snowville, and the snow is coming in sideways right now. Some strong winds associated with this front.
Yeah. All right, very good. We'll keep an eye on it. Breck will be back in a second. Well, the Utah Jazz have had an up and down season, as you know. Tonight they are playing their 90s rivals, the Chicago Bulls. What an era that was. Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph was there as the fans looked back on that era.
Who doesn't love a Utah Jazz game to kick off the week facing the Chicago Bulls? And since they're facing the Bulls, it's 90s night. That makes sense, right? I had to break out my 90s Utah Jazz jacket for that. But tonight, 90s night actually meant a little something different for some diehard fans.
Welcome to the Delta Center, home of your Utah Jazz.
Monday night, fans poured into the arena wearing their favorites, Stockton, Malone, and since they were playing the Bulls, even Jordan. It reminds you of another era of Jazz basketball. The 90s were a glorious time for the Jazz, which is why Monday was dubbed 90s Night. And while some fans bring noise, others bring wisdom. They've got their canes, their custom jerseys, and decades of memories.
This one is really special for me.
As these 90-plus superfans, get it? All of them in their grandma and grandpa eras are showing what loyalty really looks like. And just making the cut for this 90s night.
Yes.
90 years young?
Yes, last Monday.
Krista Spilker has been a Jazz fan since the beginning.
The games, the Stocktons and Malones, we were 30 years season ticket holders until we got a little older and couldn't come anymore.
But tonight she's showing up young fans, even getting some love from
the Bear.
The Jazz hold a special place in her heart because of her husband.
It was our night off. It was our date night.
Tonight, though, is because of her grandson.
Yeah, when I opened my Twitter account and saw that I had a DM from Ryan Smith, absolutely shocked.
Zach Spilker saw a tweet a few days ago from Ryan Smith asking for fans like his grandma. And well,
I told him he was my favorite grandson.
She says you're her favorite grandson. Any comment?
Well, she's my favorite grandma. You know?
Are you the one that reached out?
Yeah.
And speaking of Ryan Smith,
are you from Germany?
I am.
What part?
Berlin.
He even stopped by to say hello. And maybe even talk a little team strategy, since Krista was following the team since he was born.
We'll get the Jazz back on top. I'm not worried.
I'm sure. Well, I'm hoping they're going to win, but I'm hoping they just do their best.
So in a lifetime of memories, this one might be the most special. As a lifelong Jazz fan,
the best entertainment in the Valley, except for the opera.
She joins the other 90-year-plus club, cheering on their team.
It's very exciting for me to be here.
Spencer Joseph.
You're going to be doing another 20 years of this.
Fox 13 News.
Words don't express how special, how awesome this is.
Utah.
Told me they were season ticket holders back in the day when the Jazz moved from New Orleans to Salt Lake.
Did you hear Ryan Smith there at the end say, we're going to do 20 more years of this?
He'll commit to that.
That is so great. What a wonderful thing. Our hats off to the 90s fans. What do you got behind you there?
Well, I've got some active weather here, highlighting that as we look at a lot of these traffic cameras moving through northern Utah. It's Box Elder, Cache County right now. but it will translate into the Wasatch Front and transition, pushing through as we're mainly seeing some snow across Sardine Canyon right now and seeing the snowplow crews out there already. It's going to be a night where they're going to be working overtime, not only tonight, but through most of the day tomorrow, as we're looking at highs today getting up into the 60s. So it was the warm before the storm. We even saw 60s up through Logan and 70s in St. George. But as we look outside right now, cold front has already moved through Logan. You're seeing the wind direction out of the north at 17 miles per hour. Ogden, we've seen that wind direction change. Not yet in Salt Lake City. We're still holding on to the upper 50s, upper 40s in Price, and 60s in St. George, where the flow's out of the south until that front hits, and then it changes that wind direction out of the northwest, where for tomorrow, highs only reached in the low 40s, so it's a day where for most of the day we'll be in the 30s, and for most of the day we'll be looking at mainly rain. So winds continue to howl across west central, southwestern Utah. We had wind advisories in effect. We have high wind warnings in effect, though, for Box Elder and Tooele County, as behind the front we're going to be looking at some strong wind gusts, even looking up towards tomorrow morning. Now, as the front moves through, then we start to see some stronger winds towards eastern Utah heading into the afternoon. So expect to see some wind advisories in place throughout that location. But it's going to be another blustery day. It's just that the wind direction will be changing. Now, we've got winter weather advisories in effect for most valley locations, mountains as well. But again, looking over towards the Cottonwood Canyons, pushing through Spanish Fort Canyon, we have a winter storm warning as we're expecting to see more snow accumulation there. How much are we talking about? Let's highlight it and kind of spell it out for you here. We're 6 to 12 inches expected for most mountains. Cottonwood Canyons, though, potentially upwards of 2 feet of snow. Southern mountains 5 to 10 inches. Now valleys, it's a trace to 4 inches, but there are some areas, particularly the benches, Tooele County, and incorporating some of the Salt Lake Valley, where we could be potentially looking for valley accumulations upwards of 6 inches. Central valleys 2 to 5 inches. Now, as we take a look, we could maybe see a possibility of some thunderstorms associated with the cold front as it does move through in here tonight, as we're seeing that impact right now. There's the position of the front. Again, it's tracked through Wendover over towards Logan. You definitely can see the green. That's the rain, heavy at times, but quickly a hard line. As you see that blue, as quickly that rain will be changing over into snow, especially once we get past midnight. There's the front sweeping in. We're going to keep active weather going throughout most of the state come tomorrow. Let's take a look at our computer models. There's the front tracking in. As we go just past midnight, that green changes over into blue. That's the snow falling all throughout the evening into the overnight hours. And then waking up tomorrow morning, the snow coming in as it will continue to accumulate. Again, when we're talking about, 3-4 inches, benches upwards of 6 to 7 inches, that means you're doing some shoveling and tracking and traveling through slushy roads, particularly on the benches, heading through the canyons. Front tracks through, moves towards eastern Utah as we head into the afternoon with that colder air coming in, maybe some lake enhancement as we'll keep scattered snow showers going through most of the afternoon into the evening. And then one final push towards central Utah. Wednesday we're clearing out. So a good winter storm, one last winter storm before the official first day of spring. Now as we look here, heading into tomorrow morning, it's all snow. Just be cautious. Again, the recommendation is if you can delay getting to the morning commute, maybe do that, as that's going to be the case where we're going to have hazardous roads all throughout the I-15 corridor, and highs tomorrow for many locations in the 30s and 40s. Now for St. George, you've got the rain tomorrow, then you get the sunshine, and then a nice break as temperatures climb into the 70s heading into the weekend. Now for northern Utah, we got the storm tomorrow, then another storm Thursday through Friday. It brings valley snow back into the forecast Friday morning, then a mixture on Saturday before we start clearing out and seeing temperatures warm up. So get ready for that and give yourself some extra time come tomorrow morning. We're back after the break.
It has been 10 days since the legislative session ended, and today Utah Governor Spencer Cox signed 3 bills into law. Franchises can no longer require some of their businesses to be open on Sundays in Utah. The new law carves an exception for sincerely held religious beliefs. The root of this involves some franchisees who were told they don't have to open on Sundays, only to have the rules changed by the company. There are religious and staffing concerns, so the law says there must be disclosures up front. The new law does not apply to hotels and motels. High school rodeo competitors will be treated like any other school athlete under a bill that was signed into law today. That new law treats high school rodeo like football, cheerleading, or any other sport. Lawmakers are responding to complaints about disparate treatment for those who do rodeo. Governor Cox has signed a bill to make it more difficult to know who is running to be in the running to be a university president in Utah. The new law would obscure the release of names of candidates until finalists are named. The bill's sponsor points to Utah State University President Elizabeth Cantwell's exit to Washington State because her name was not public in that state, saying it would lead to them considering more candidates whose names won't be public. There are many more bills left for Governor Cox to sign or veto. He has 10 more days to do so.
Windy days like this one kick a lot of dust off the Great Salt Lake and push it into nearby communities. Who's in the blast zone? Well, I'll tell you coming up next.
Dozens of pink and blue ribbons lining the trees here in the small town of Ephraim as an entire community shows their support for a family grieving the loss of their 12-year-old daughter. I'm Amy Nay, and I'll bring you that story from Central Utah coming up.
We are on the cusp of seeing more rain and snow along the Wasatch Front. Breck Bolton has been telling us all about it all day. It was blustery most of today. Windy days like this kick up dust from the exposed Great Salt Lake bed and drop it onto nearby communities. As Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow explains, lawmakers didn't spend much on air quality monitoring this past legislative session.
It seems fuller than it has in the past. It's beautiful. We couldn't live in a more lovely place. When there's what looks to me like inversion, we can certainly see it too.
Kathleen Bailey can see the Great Salt Lake from her house in Bountiful, and she's seen hazy conditions.
When you see things that look hazy outside, it's one of three things. It could be inversions, it could be wildfire smoke, and it can be dust.
Dust blowing off the Great Salt Lake is becoming a bigger issue. Fox 13 News' cameras captured this on Monday at Farmington Bay.
I think there's pretty good evidence that we're seeing more dust events, especially dust coming from the Great Salt Lake, since about 2010.
Derek Malia is a research assistant professor at the University of Utah's Department of Atmospheric Sciences. He's involved in research on dust and where it's blowing.
Farmington Bay and Bay River Bay are the big dust hotspots for the Great Salt Lake. And unfortunately, those are the areas that are actually closest to communities.
Scientists have even captured previous dust events on satellite. Those aren't clouds you're seeing. He's also mapped some dust hotspots, which show communities from Salt Lake City to Ogden seeing more exposure, usually ahead of a storm. There's a lot of concern about what's in that dust.
There are heavy metals, things that are not good for your health, in this dust. I think the big outstanding question is the concentration of those heavy metals. Are they actually are high enough to cause even worse kind of impacts? But along those lines, if those particles, even if the concentrations of heavy metals aren't that high, dust particles in the absence of heavy metals, it's still bad for you because they are small.
Environmental groups have been pushing for more air quality monitors. Lawmakers rejected a request by Representative Doug Owens for funding before reversing course at the end of the legislative session.
Little money, $50,000 ongoing. It really should have been $600,000 ongoing to make sure we were getting real-time data on the dust blowing off the lake.
Representative Owens says the research will help communities,
so we have a better understanding of what we're breathing.
People like Kathleen Bailey agree.
Whether it's an inversion and it's particulate matter from cars or other sources or dust from the lake, either one is of concern.
Representative Owens says he'll keep pushing for additional funding for those air quality monitors. At Farmington Bay, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
You might not think of a professional sports team raising money for the Great Salt Lake, but the Utah Royals and America First Credit Union have donated $10,000 to the Great Salt Lake Watershed Enhancement Trust. It was set up by the legislature and is run by the Audubon Society and the Nature Conservancy. They are trying to secure wetlands and water for the lake to help it bounce back. The former chief of the Tremonton Fire Department appeared in an Ogden court today as he and a Box Elder County judge now face multiple charges of child sex crimes. This as the FBI has taken over the case. Ned Brady Hansen appeared remotely during the brief hearing in the courtroom of Judge Ruben Renstrom. Hansen and Justice Court Judge Kevin Christensen have been linked together on multiple child sex crimes, with court records alleging the two had a sexual relationship with one another, while also sharing child pornography and discussing fantasies of abusing children together. Although Hansen and Christensen are not currently co-defendants, the chance they could be connected in the future caused Judge Renstrom to recuse himself from the case today.
I've never met Mr. Hansen, but again, where I've recused on what may become a co-defendant, I don't know that I feel horribly comfortable doing much on this case today.
Today's case was continued to a different court on Thursday, where Hansen's attorney will try to get the former fire chief released on bail. Hansen was arrested on March 6th and resigned as chief a week later. Now to a Fox 13 News exclusive. A tight-knit community in central Utah has come together to show support for a family grieving the sudden loss of their 12-year-old daughter. Fox 13 News anchor Amy Ney spoke to the Rasmussen family today in Ephraim.
I honestly have no words. People have been so great and supportive. We haven't felt alone.
Molly Rasmussen speaking to us through her tears Monday after losing her youngest child and only daughter, Allie, from a sudden brain aneurysm Friday night.
It was just so sudden.
Allie's dad, Josh, says she had just been at volleyball practice and he snapped this picture of her hours before she died in her new jersey she was so excited to wear.
I know a lot of people suffer, and I know a lot of people have gone through loss.
But Josh, a band teacher at the local middle school, says they've been surrounded by love like they could have never imagined.
Before we knew it, there were all these kids and stuff outside putting bows all over. I mean, it had snowed. There was footprints all over in the snow. They had put bows everywhere on the trees and had made signs and stuff just before we knew it. And then people just started coming.
There really is no way to thank everybody. I don't know how we'll ever thank everybody, but we appreciate them.
A candlelight vigil organized Saturday night, the Rasmussen said was overwhelming.
They said you should come out, and there were just 1,000 people that showed up. They just kept coming around the corner and they sang. I don't know, it's just awesome.
Knowing at just 12 years old, Allie already made her mark on so many, wearing shirts that were dropped off at their home this morning anonymously that say "Love like Allie."
She was a lover. She hugged everyone she knew, and even people she didn't. She thought everyone was her best friend, and she just really genuinely loved people.
Grief counseling was offered to students Monday having a hard time processing the sudden loss of their 6th grade classmate here at Ephraim Elementary, where many of the student body wore Allie's favorite color, blue.
We've had people reach out from all over, and again, just being a small community, I know there are kids in Nephi who've worn blue today. I just got a picture from a friend at North Sanpete with kids in blue, and there's just so much love everywhere. People are they're just so great.
So just knowing that people are there and that you're loved, and we've really felt everybody's prayers, it means a lot.
They say it's such an outpouring of love and support from their family, friends, and they take comfort in that and in their faith. They encourage others to reach out to someone who may be going through tough times. They say even those small gestures can mean the world to someone like them in their darkest hour. Reporting in Ephraim, Amy Ney, Fox 13 News, Utah.
I'm Fox 13 Southern Utah News reporter Chris Reed alongside State Route 9 in Hurricane, where motorists are asking themselves, what am I supposed to believe? The speed limit sign or Google Maps? I'll try clearing that up.
There is a bit of confusion about the speed limit for drivers who use State Route 9 in Hurricane. Fox 13 News reporter Chris Reed asked residents and UDOT about it.
To some cyclists visiting from Colorado State, most are going too fast.
A little bit nerve-wracking when you got guys zipping past you, especially when you don't necessarily have a lot of room on the shoulder.
Same goes for some Hurricane residents.
Oh, every day, just on my way here, to be honest with you.
State Route 9 is the main route off Interstate 15 most take to get to Zion National Park. It goes through the cities of Hurricane and La Verkin. Many say part of the problem has been the inconsistent speed limit between the 15 and the center of Hurricane.
We decided, hey, we should also set driver expectations so they're consistent along this corridor, so it's not fast, slow, fast, slow.
Spokesperson Kevin Kitchen says at the start of the month, the Utah Department of Transportation set a consistent 55 miles per hour from the 15 off-ramp to downtown Hurricane. It had fluctuated between 65 and 50 at different points before. But Google Maps and other navigation devices haven't quite caught up yet.
I do know this, though, that we do feed data to some services out there, and a lot of times they'll copycat each other. And of course, they have their own algorithms, right? And we get frustrated as well sometimes when people take routes that we're not expecting them to take.
We asked one 20-year Hurricane resident if she feels safer with the consistency change.
No, it doesn't.
Why is that?
55 is down this road is too slow. It is way too slow for the traffic we have. 55 causes a lot of accidents.
Kitchen says the 7-mile stretch has been extensively studied, and he says 55 is the best speed from the interstate to the 45 speed limit in downtown Hurricane. From Hurricane, Chris Reed, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, as we go to break, let's once again look at a traffic camera along I-84 Box Elder County. That snow still falling at a pretty good clip as this will spread here in the overnight hours. How many more winter storms here over the next week? We'll let you know coming up.
It was a welcome home party at the U. We'll hear from Alex Jensen as he returns to Utah as the new men's basketball coach. And the Jazz took on the Bulls tonight. How about this play? Yeah, that and more coming up in sports.
Yeah, you thought spring was in the air.
This camera highlighting the snow. The camera's kind of coming in and out here a little bit.
I would say the camera is frozen, very much like you will be if you. Oh, it moved a little bit.
A little bit.
Little bit.
Yeah.
Where is this? Anyway?
This is Smithfield. So this is up in Cache County, north of Logan. Yeah, snow falling right now. We know we're going to see this here come tonight through tomorrow. How much snow are we talking about? Bob, you going to have to shovel tomorrow morning?
Maybe, probably not.
You got your kids doing it?
No. That's what they figure they have a father for.
Okay.
Right? Okay, well, anyway, on to other news. Weber State University is trying to make up for $6.7 million in state budget cuts. The school is overhauling its College of Education and eliminating the dean's position. The university tells Fox 13 News they're still committed to training teachers, and those already enrolled will be able to earn their degrees, but the program will likely change in the future.
Colleges have so many great programs with like internships or apprenticeships and things like that. So I think by limiting that, I think it's really going to hurt.
Our content partners at the Salt Lake Tribune report Utah State is tackling the budget cuts by asking faculty and staff for voluntary resignations. The USDA is reporting there have been no significant bird flu outbreaks so far in March, and the egg supply is rapidly improving, but some consumers are still worried. Doe Miner Cafe owner Ken Roderman in Salt Lake City says he wasn't able to get his order for liquid eggs last week. He's been able to keep up with the high prices, but now is concerned about supply. He tells us his distributors don't have an answer for when things will get better.
It gets real frustrating to watch that price continually creep up and everybody just tell you that we don't really know why.
Roderman says he's taking it 1 week at a time and doing everything he can to keep prices where they are. Experts are recommending people to check out other options such as liquid eggs so shoppers can stick to their grocery budgets. Breck?
Well, Bob, we've been searching the UDOT traffic cameras trying to find the snow falling. We're seeing it through Sardine Canyon right now, pushing up through Box Elder County, so just northwest of Tremonton. right at the Utah-Idaho border, but we are seeing some rain showers still as you go Brigham City southward through Ogden. But the snow falling, as this will be the focus, as this rain will be changing into snow here in the overnight hours. Now the front has already moved through Logan over towards Wendover. We've seen a drop in temperatures. We still have 50s though, where the front moving through Ogden, you can see that northwest direction, and it's beginning to make its move here towards the Salt Lake Valley. So it's sweeping in here along the Wasatch Front. Again, initially we're going to be looking at rain, but then rain quickly turning over into snow. Winter weather advisories highlighted in purple for many valley locations. Again, as we've been talking about, more significant snow expected for the Cottonwood Canyons down through Spanish Fork Canyon as we head into tomorrow. But how much snow are we talking about? Still on that range to 6 to 12 inches for many mountain locations. But again, for the Cottonwood Canyons, we might squeeze out closer towards 2 feet of snow. And the valleys, definitely looking at waking up to that snow accumulating on the sidewalks and on your driveways. You'll need that shovel, especially as you move closer towards the benches, where again for many spots will be anywhere between 2 to 4 inches. A little bit more for the Salt Lake Valley down through Utah County over towards Tooele. Some areas could be potentially getting upwards of 6 inches, maybe even close to 8 inches for some of the benches as well. So a good storm, kind of one that is going to hit before we get to that official first day of spring. But this is not the only storm that we're talking about. And as we look at valley accumulations, we're going to be seeing even towards central and southern Utah, or Cedar City, you could be looking at anywhere between 1 to 3 inches. Okay, we see the position of the front, that transition between the green and then the blue. Hard line there. That's what's moving in right now. We're seeing over towards Tooele County, Wendover, near Tooele, the rain falling up through Brigham City. This will push its way through, and then we'll see behind that with that colder air, that snow will begin to fall, especially once we get past midnight. But it's mainly rain still as we go Brigham City southward, that transition into snow heading through Sardine Canyon. As I showed you that traffic camera in Smithfield, that cold air pushing its way through as it will be dropping temperatures close to freezing here along the Wasatch Front. So it is going to be a messy Tuesday morning commute. Give yourself extra time. They said if you can maybe delay just a bit, allowing for snowplow crews to really clear out the roads before you make your way in, where as we look hour by hour forecast, it's rain starting off, then rain changing into snow, and that snow falling here in the overnight hours. We might even see a few isolated thunderstorms associated with the cold front as that moves towards central and southwestern Utah heading into tomorrow morning. So looking at your forecast for tomorrow, we'll start off with the snow, on and off snow throughout the afternoon. We can even contend with the snow, especially through some of the canyon areas as we head into the afternoon commute. Look at those temperatures throughout the day. Only 30s. We're at the expected high of 40 degrees as we'll see the impact of the snow across northern central into southwestern Utah. St. George, for you, it's mainly rain. We start to see the showers a little bit later on the day through eastern Utah, but everyone's getting hit with the storm moving through. But rain in St. George, where after you're seeing an extended break from the storms and some very nice temperatures heading into the weekend. How about 70s Saturday and Sunday, even close to 80 degrees next week, Monday. Snow tomorrow here as we'll be looking at tapering off for Wednesday, a break. Then late Thursday, a mixture of some rain and snow with some morning snow showers on Friday. Look at these temperatures. Only in the 40s as we should be in the 50s. We return to the 50s, but we get hit with another storm, at least for the first half of the weekend as it'll be wet. Then we clear out and we warm up into the low 60s. So we'll welcome in some nice temperatures for the first week of spring, but we end here, of course, with this winter weather and get ready here. It comes here for tonight.
All right, Breck, thanks so much. Major League Baseball is back, and you can watch the first games of the season right here on Fox 13. The Chicago Cubs and the winners of last year's World Series, the Los Angeles Dodgers, are just hours away from squaring off in the Tokyo Dome. This is video of the field being prepped for this game, the first of 2 game series being played in Japan. They love baseball in Japan. They call it Yakkyu, or Besuboru, that's what they call it. These are the first games of the 2025 season. Opening day is March 27th for the rest of the league. The game between the Cubs and the Dodgers will air at 4 a.m. on Fox 13. That means the first 2 hours of Good Day Utah tomorrow morning will be preempted. Dan and Kelly are going to get to sleep in. How do you like that? Yeah, Good Day Utah scheduled to start at 7 o'clock. And so don't miss the first pitch of the Dodgers and the Cubs tomorrow morning at 4 a.m., just hours away. Jeff, I know you've got your alarm set.
I'm just going to stay up all night.
Okay. You do that, ain't you?
Yeah, right? I'll be up. The new era of University of Utah basketball has begun as former Utah player Alex Jensen was introduced as the new head coach of the Running Utes. Here's Fox 13's Andrea Urban.
Alex Jensen.
From winning Mountain West Player of the Year, leading the Running Utes to 4 NCAA tournament appearances and spending over a decade in the NBA, Alex Jensen returns to college basketball, but this time as the head coach of the Utah Running Utes program. And he says that the timing was right this time around.
You know, it's funny, like when I've been at a crossroads in my career, you know, timing, it's interesting how things happen. And it felt right. And, you know, through my conversations, I'm extremely diligent, I think, when I make decisions like this, and I talk to a number of people. As hard of the decision as it seems, at one point, it becomes easy in the end. And it was, I think the excitement and the timing just felt right for me.
This is a family here. This program is a family, and you know, Alex is a key step, along with others joining in and getting this place filled up again.
Especially for players, I think they can really see through, like if you walk the walk. You know, that was the one thing, like I think with players that did well, like Coach Majerus, they saw the place where he came from, they were all right with it. It's gonna be a tough, hard-nosed, competitive team that will make the fan base proud. Like that's the one thing that I will strive to do and won't cut corners, but it'll be a team that they'll be proud of. You know, with the changing landscape, it'll be a place where players want to come and play and want to be a part of, I think, after they're done playing.
Alex Jensen is the 17th head coach in program history, and the Runnin' Utes program's future is looking brighter than ever. In the John M. Huntsman Center, Andrea Urban, Fox 13 Sports, Utah.
The Jazz hosted the Chicago Bulls tonight. Great passing on this play leads to an open three for Jordan Clarkson, who knocks it down. He had 14 points. Then the Jazz get it ahead to Bryce Sensabaugh. His three is nothing but net. And look at this. The 90-year-olds were loving it. Yeah, he had 13 points. Here's the play of the game for the Jazz. A turnover leads to the break. Isaiah Collier lays it off the glass for Lauri Markkanen. The finisher throws it down. Collier could have scored easily, but he rewards the big man for running the floor. He had 16 points. The Jazz played them great in the first two quarters, but the Bulls ran away with it in the second half. Dallin Terry, the hammer, the Bulls won at 111-97. Jazz have lost 10 in a row. We'll be right back.
You know it's St. Patrick's Day, and leprechauns of all ages celebrated, even the littlest ones.
Is that your Irish accent?
Very well done.
I got no Irish. You're better at it than I am. Mountain Star Healthcare's Ogden Regional Medical Center dressed up some of the babies in the NICU in green on this St. Patrick's Day. And I'm sorry, these kids are so cute, are they not?
They're very cute.
They're beautiful little babies. I challenged this guy right here to wear the green tie.
This doesn't work.
It doesn't work in front of the green screen, so I had to take it off.
It works just fine. Everybody would have forgiven you.
But it sparkled.
Anyway, Quick Cast is next. Let's see if he wears the tie.
We'll try.